Day 523, Thursday, November 14th. Isaiah 23 and 24. Isaiah 23 1-18 NKJV. The burden against Tyre. Wail, you ships of Tarshish, for it is laid waste, so that there is no house, no harbor. From the land of Cyprus it is revealed to them. Be still, you inhabitants of the coastland, you merchants of Sidon, whom those who cross the sea have filled. And on great waters the grain of Shihor, the harvest of the river, is her revenue, and she is a marketplace for the nations. Be ashamed, O Sidon, for the sea has spoken, the strength of the sea, saying, I do not labor, nor bring forth children, neither do I rear young men, nor bring up virgins. When the report reaches Egypt, they also will be in agony at the report of Tyre. Cross over to Tarshish, wail, you inhabitants of the coastland. Is this your joyous city, whose antiquity is from ancient days, whose feet carried her far off to dwell? Who has taken this counsel against Tyre, the crowning city, whose merchants are princes, whose traders are the honorable of the earth? The Lord of hosts has purposed it, to bring to dishonor the pride of all glory, to bring into contempt all the honorable of the earth. Overflow through your land like the river, O daughter of Tarshish, there is no more strength. He stretched out his hand over the sea. He shook the kingdoms. The Lord has given a commandment against Canaan to destroy its strongholds. And he said, You will rejoice no more, O you oppressed virgin daughter of Sidon. Arise, cross over to Cyprus, there also you will have no rest. Behold the land of the Chaldeans, this people which was not. Assyria founded it for wild beasts of the desert. They set up its towers, they raised up its palaces and brought it to ruin. Wail, you ships of Tarshish, for your strength is laid waste. Now it shall come to pass in that day that Tyre will be forgotten 70 years, according to the days of one king. At the end of 70 years it will happen to Tyre as in the song of the harlot. Take a harp, go about the city, you forgotten harlot, make sweet melody, sing many songs that you may be remembered. And it shall be at the end of 70 years, that the Lord will deal with Tyre. She will return to her hire, and commit fornication with all the kingdoms of the world on the face of the earth. Her gain and her pay will be set apart for the Lord. It will not be treasured nor laid up, for her gain will be for those who dwell before the Lord, to eat sufficiently, and for fine clothing. Isaiah 24 1-23 NKJV. Behold, the Lord makes the earth empty and makes it waste, distorts its surface and scatters abroad its inhabitants. And it shall be, as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with his master, as with the maid, so with her mistress, as with the buyer, so with the seller, as with the lender, so with the borrower, as with the creditor, so with the debtor. The land shall be entirely emptied and utterly plundered, for the Lord has spoken this word. The earth mourns and fades away. The world languishes and fades away. The haughty people of the earth languish. The earth is also defiled under its inhabitants, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore the curse has devoured the earth, and those who dwell in it are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men are left. The new wine fails, the vine languishes, all the merry-hearted sigh. The mirth of the tambourine ceases, the noise of the jubilant ends, the joy of the harp ceases. They shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink is bitter to those who drink it. The city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up, so that none may go in. There is a cry for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. In the city desolation is left, and the gate is stricken with destruction. When it shall be thus in the midst of the land among the people, it shall be like the shaking of an olive tree, like the gleaning of grapes when the vintage is done. They shall lift up their voice, they shall sing. For the majesty of the Lord they shall cry aloud from the sea. Therefore glorify the Lord in the dawning light, the name of the Lord God of Israel in the coastlands of the sea. From the ends of the earth we have heard songs, glory to the righteous. But I said, I am ruined, ruined, woe to me. The treacherous dealers have dealt treacherously indeed, the treacherous dealers have dealt very treacherously. Fear and the pit and the snare are upon you, O inhabitant of the earth. And it shall be that he who flees from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit, and he who comes up from the midst of the pit shall be caught in the snare. For the windows from on high are open, and the foundations of the earth are shaken. The earth is violently broken, the earth is split open, the earth is shaken exceedingly. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall totter like a hut. Its transgression shall be heavy upon it, and it will fall and not rise again. It shall come to pass in that day that the Lord will punish on high the host of exalted ones, and on the earth the kings of the earth. They will be gathered together, as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and will be shut up in the prison. After many days they will be punished. Then the moon will be disgraced and the sun ashamed, for the Lord of hosts will reign on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem and before his elders gloriously. Daily Deep Dive. The UCG Reading Plan states, Chapter 23 is a prophecy against Tyre, a chief city of the Phoenicians, inextricably linked to Sidon, of which Tyre was the primary colony. Tarshish refers to lands in the west, generally Spain, where sat the Phoenician colony of Tartessus. Chittim is translated Cyprus in the NKJV, although it can mean western lands generally. The Sidonians and Tyrians are told to cross over to these western lands. This is likely referring to their fleeing to Spain and their colonies in northwest Africa such as Carthage. Shihor is generally recognized as another name for the Nile. Verse 13 mentions the Assyrian who founded Babylon for the Chaldeans. This could refer back to the founding of Babel by Nimrod, from which Assur went out to build various Assyrian cities. In this sense, the Assyrians founded Babylon, that is, the original empire of Babylon. But more likely this is referring to the later involvement of Assyria in that land, and to the city that had been re-established under Assyrian rule more recently. Just as Babylon was brought to ruin, so would Tyre be destroyed. Sargon had completed the Assyrians' 5-year siege of Tyre in 720 BC. It is possible that this prophecy of Isaiah is out of chronological order and was actually given previous to many other prophecies we've been reading, back to before Tyre's fall. However, it seems more likely that Tyre's destruction referred to here is the one the Babylonians would bring about around 573 BC. Verses 15 and 17 refer to a 70-year period. This may refer to basically the same 70-year period Jeremiah refers to, the time from Nebuchadnezzar II beginning his reign to the fall of Babylon. The days of one king may mean the days of one kingdom, that of Babylon, or possibly the lifespan of a man. Of course, the prophetic statements here may all represent events that are yet to come. In the highlights on Isaiah 13, we saw how the ancient Babylonians became the Romans, as did many of the Phoenicians. Incidentally, this directly ties the Chaldeans and Phoenicians together, as they are in the current passage. In any event, the Phoenicians were the merchants of the ancient world, and they were also the merchants of the Middle Ages and Renaissance. The merchants of Venice and many other European cities having descended from the Syro-Phoenician traders spread across southern Europe. Tyre was the marketplace for the nations. You can read about the rise of another Tyre as a great end-time trading bloc in Ezekiel 26 1-28. This trading bloc is referred to in Revelation 18 as Babylon. In Revelation 17, in a more religious context, we see a direct tie-in to Isaiah 23:17. She will return to her hire and commit fornication with all the kingdoms of the world on the face of the earth. Perhaps we can see a connection in the virgin daughter of Sidon, that is, a supposed virgin but really a harlot. Jezebel, daughter of the king of Sidon, was a direct type of the end-time religious and commercial system that will soon plunge the world into the final crisis leading up to the return of Christ. Further prophecies against Tyre can be found in Joel 3:4-8, Amos 1:9-10, and Zechariah 9:1-4. Isaiah 24, the UCG commentary states, Isaiah 24-27 is often referred to as the Little Apocalypse or the Isaiah Apocalypse. That's because it describes, in broad general terms, the great cosmic events that will mark the end of the age, as described in the book of Revelation. Verse 5 of chapter 24 mentions the breaking of the everlasting covenant, and the implication is that all the earth's inhabitants are part of this covenant arrangement. Yet when did God make a covenant with all humanity? Says the Bible Reader's Companion, many see this as a reference to God's covenant with Noah, never again to destroy the earth by a flood. That covenant also implies human moral responsibility, for it makes man responsible to God to account for shed blood. Thus the laws and statutes here are not those of the OT law. They are natural moral laws expressed in human conscience which God has embedded in human nature, to which Paul refers in Rom. 2:12-16. The Nelson Study Bible comments, the usual language concerning a breach of the covenant is applied more generally to the wicked nations. Perhaps these words speak of that innate sense of right and wrong, the conscience that God has given to all humankind, but which everyone violates. Actually, God did give laws at the time of Adam, but man rejected them, and as a consequence God destroyed mankind except for Noah and his family. Noah understood God's laws and passed them on. But man has transgressed them and changed them to suit himself. And as mentioned, man as a whole has violated the wonderful gift of conscience that God has given to every person. The earth is defiled by all of this, especially as stated by the innocent blood shed on it, so it lies under a curse, and God will bring great havoc on the world. Some, we should note, misquote this section of the Bible, using it to prove that the returning Christ totally destroys the earth and all life on it, and that his 1,000-year reign that follows is then over a desolate, uninhabited earth. In support of this wrong teaching, they cite the first half of verse 6, which speaks of the scorching of the earth's inhabitants, but they leave out the end of the verse, and few men are left. Here is a classic illustration of using the Bible to prove an already preconceived idea, instead of allowing Scripture to interpret itself. For reading all of verse 6 shows that mankind, though greatly diminished by end time, plague and war isn't totally destroyed. Clearly there will still be people left alive. Verse 16 gives the impression of people rejoicing in song, while the prophet is bemoaning the treacherous dealers, perhaps referring to false messiahs or the false prophet. Then a mighty earthquake is described. Cataclysmic events befall the planet, and the windows from on high are open, apparently picturing the great upheaval and hail to come at the end. Then there is mention of the host of exalted ones, in addition to the kings of the earth, being punished and imprisoned for many days, which could include the human armies that assail Christ at his return as well as Satan and his demons. The chapter concludes with the reign of the Lord in Zion.